Hello, and welcome to the Triangle Business Podcast. This is episode 1. My name is Joey Natale, and this is my co-star,
Scott Moore.
Yes, and we're going to be talking to you today about why we decided to get into business and some of the pivotal points that we chose to get into coaching. So I'll throw it to you first, Scott.
Well, I'll make a distinction.
Yes.
So I started my first business in 2004, completely by accident, and which is a dumb way to start a business, by the way. And so don't do that. But I ran that business for 7 years before I realized I don't like this, and I wanted to do something else. I was on the verge of turning 40 when that happened, and I didn't think I should have any more do-overs at that point in my life.
Yes.
Luckily, a good friend of mine who was an executive coach was like, well, Colonel Sanders didn't sell his first piece of fried chicken until he was 57, so you still got some time.
That's true.
And you should probably do something that you don't hate for the rest of your life. And so, yada, 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 I became a coach.
Okay.
And we can talk about some of the details about how that happened. But I actually think one of the things that has contributed to me being a good business coach is I've done a lot of things wrong.
Yes.
Especially in the first business.
Yes.
And that's fine. Like I always say, the wrong way is the second best way to learn anything.
Yes.
But I think that I probably would not have had the tools, at least in the early days, to be a successful business coach if I hadn't had that experience of running a business, that financially did fine, but wasn't really structured very well. It wasn't harnessing the things I do best. I wasn't very passionate about it. So.
I'm curious about, was there a particular moment that stands out when maybe it was your first business, maybe it was when you were done with that business to go to coaching, where it's just like, that was the turning point. That was like, I got the call, if you will.
Yeah. Happens that yesterday was the 14th anniversary of this.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Thank you.
That now.
And I've already online thanked the guy that made the big difference for me. But my friend Phil invited me out to this mastermind in LA and on less than a week's notice. And I was like, I can't make this work. Yeah. And then he said, would you try? And so I did. There's a lot of other people I could thank, but for the sake of time, I got there and it was all about taking your business to the next level. And I was already clear, like I didn't really want to take my business to the next level because I didn't enjoy what I was doing. And I was looking for ways to get out of it. And we went through 2 full days of this and it was really intense. I was working with some amazing people there. And when it was over, Phil kind of looked at me. He goes, so now do you know what you're going to do next? And I was like, not really. I mean, I had an amazing time and this was really, an awesome way to spend a couple of days, but I don't know if it clarified for me what I'm doing next. And he's like, well, I brought you here to coach these people.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been doing. And I said, I haven't coached anybody. All I did was just like ask them a bunch of questions and point out a couple of things that they didn't seem like they were noticing and what their answers were.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you think coaching is? And so I kind of got hit over the head with it. And I'll never forget my flight back to North Carolina from LA. I was sitting there and I had this pad of paper in my lap. And I just remember being absolutely terrified and thinking to myself, like, what if I try this and this is not the thing? Like, what if I do another career move, start another business that isn't what I'm meant to be doing? And I sat with that fear for a moment, and I was like, what if this is the thing you're supposed to be doing? And what if you don't try because you're afraid? And I decided I was more afraid of that. And so I started writing stuff down, and I wrote stuff down for most of the flight from LA to North Carolina. And I will tell you something. I still have those notes.
Oh, yeah.
And my business looks absolutely nothing like all those notes I took on the flight back
Really?
from LA. Absolutely nothing. Like what I do, who I coach, what my ideal client is, how I coach them. None of it is relevant. But the important part is I got started and I was excited about the prospect. And it's just been a process of doing and course correcting and doing some more. And I'm still not done with any of that. I just think that it's always an evolution. But 14 years later, I'm real happy with where I'm at. I'm real happy that I took the leap. I thanked Phil yesterday, and he said some kind words back about how fun it's been to watch me on my journey. And so, what about you? Like, was there that moment where you're like, this is going to be my thing?
Yes. And before I go into my thing, I love what you said about you had that pen and paper in your hands, the legal pad, I think you said, and you were like, what if this is not the thing I meant to do? And the fear of making the wrong mistake. And then the other thought, which as you said was something along the lines of like, what if it is? And the fear of missing out. So I think that's really important to just, call attention to for a few minutes, because like, how many times have we had that in our lives?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So many times. And I'm sure we see that in clients all the time, the people we work with all the time, where they want something more. And they want more, or they want to do more, or they want to be more, right? Which ties nicely into my story in a lot of ways. So I began studying psychology and health and wellness in college and getting a dual major in that, finishing schooling, and then getting accepted into social work. And I ended up turning it down. And I thankfully graduated debt-free from undergrad and thought, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship at the time. And I was just like, I've got more resume experience in tech, so I'll just do that. And so I thought maybe that'll be a good feel, because everybody's making money in that too. And so I did, got some certs in there, and then landed an IT job. I hated it very quickly. Very quickly, I hated it.
I met you while you were still hating it.
I know you did. And so
it's a very authentic level of hate.
Strongly did not like it at all. And the apocalypse of 2020 happened. And I'd been reading a lot of self-development years, almost 10 years probably before that moment. And I decided to attend Tony Robbins event. It was this virtual event. I didn't know much about him at the time. It was like a free challenge. He's like, oh, here's a discounted price to this online event that's usually a lot more expensive in person. I was like, cool. So I got the time off and attended it virtually. And there was a moment when he shared in his seminar where, do you ever feel like you want to do something more in your life? And I was like, yes. You have this feeling where you're meant to do, be, or have something more, and you're maybe not sure quite what that is. And you just feel like there is more to this life and world, and you can contribute to or be a part of. I was just like, go on. And because I had those feelings. I remember walking on hikes with friends being like, and having this thought of like, when am I really going to figure out what I'm meant to do? Or what I really want to do? I didn't know who to voice those to, or didn't know people also felt that way. So as Tony goes on with what he says, if you shove those feelings and thoughts down, you wake up in 20 and 30 years, sometimes 40 years, and be like, what have I done with my life? Right. I was like, oh God. Because that reminded me of when I was a kid and growing up, and my parents were just like, well, you go to school or don't, and then get a job, and then you work 30, 40 years the rest of your life. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And it just felt like this hopeless feeling. Tony says that if you do that, you're committing spiritual suicide. And it's death by 1,000 cuts. And I was just like, oh God.
I want to make, like, I'll just jump in here and say, like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, having a job and working the job for, 30, 40 years.
Of course.
Right. Like, my dad worked at IBM for 33 years, had a good career of it, was able to retire, relatively young. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're doing something that you're like, yeah, this is my thing. It doesn't even have to be the thing you're the most passionate about. Like, again, you and I both do career coaching with people. And I tell them all the time, like, don't make your job a one-stop shop that has to provide every single bit of joy and fulfillment and all in your whole life.
Yes.
You don't have to do that. It happens that my work checks a lot of boxes for me.
Yes.
I get to do something I'm really good at. I get to work with people I really enjoy. I get to help make a difference for them. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yes.
But I also do lots of other things for fun. I don't make it be like the one thing. But I would say, boy, we spend a lot of time at work. And if it sucks, then you're just signing up for it to suck for a really long time.
Absolutely. So, and for me, I knew that was a realization of just like, what? And I thought to myself, the hell does this Tony Robbins guy do? Coaching? What the hell is that? Oh, it's like therapy, but not. But it's more like my speed and style, more aligned with my values.
Yeah, I mean, I'm real careful to make sure people understand that coaching is not therapy. The distinction I have about that is, we all know what a track coach does. Track coach helps you run faster. If you show up at track practice and you got a broken leg, the coach sends you to a doctor. They're not trying to help you run faster.
Of course.
So if you've got problems, if you have injuries that you're trying to heal, that's the realm of, therapy and psychology and that kind of stuff. Coaching is, you're in good shape and your legs work. We can help you go faster. We can help you go farther.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, I'm real big on, because I've had loads of people over the years say that, hey, so you're kind of like a therapist, and I am not. Yes. But
what we can do is therapeutic, but not therapy.
Yeah.
That's kind of this distinction I like to make on that. And there are coaches who do trauma work as well. Therapeutic, but not therapy, which is very different. And so I just began to pursue that.
Yeah.
So I did. And that was kind of the big comeback moment for me.
How would you describe like what your sort of key area or niche in coaching is? Like, who are the people that you help the most?
I'm currently focusing on professionals, mostly in the IT space. And I work with a lot of executives as well currently. So a lot of professionals. And that's, so I've got there so far. And picking up on what we talked about, the evolving journey where we started. When I first started, I was like, as a confidence coach, because that was something I struggled with a lot. And as it evolved, I then tried to shift more in relationships, but I wasn't getting a lot of good feedback from people. They thought what I did was not what I did. I'll leave it at that. And so I realized that communication kind of bridges the lines of really where I want to focus on, which is professional side of things, but also it can manifest into more community, personal things, because business is all communication in a lot of ways.
A lot of it is,
it can be. Yeah. Whether it's messaging on a product or really just in communication with clients, right? If you have a 10 out of 10 knowledge on something, but have 1 out of 10 communication skills on it, nobody's going to know and nobody's going to care. You're not going to get any dates. You're not going to get any job interviews, and you're not going to get any promotions. And you might not be very memorable at networking events too. So that's kind of where the areas I've decided to focus on where I'm at now.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Well, I mean, for most of the time I've been a coach, I really kind of niched into helping small businesses. Everybody from, the solopreneurs, like it's just me, but I'm starting this thing, up to, 30, 35 people is kind of the biggest business I've ever really worked with. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. It's the biggest group of people I've ever really worked with. Like I've worked for people who have got like departments at a university. So they're part of a larger business unit, but they're trying to, streamline roles and responsibilities and become a more cohesive team. But yeah, like mostly business. I've done a lot of career work too. It was funny to me when I first started getting people asking me to coach them about career. And I reached out to Phil, the guy I was talking about. I was like, why are they asking me this? Like, I just figured out what I want to be when I grow up like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they watched you do it.
Yeah.
So they know that you know how.
Yeah.
And he told me one of the things that I've always really cherished is, he says, you only have to be one chapter ahead in the book to teach the class.
That's true.
And so kind of like you were talking about with the confidence thing, like you struggled with it and then you figured out how to overcome it. Yeah. And now you knew how to teach it because you had just done it. And so I think that's part of that. But yeah, I mean, career coaching occupies a smaller and smaller piece, but I literally just brought on a new career coaching client this morning, somebody I'm really excited to get to work with that's asking those like big questions. And it was so funny to me because she got on the call and she was like, well, I'm just turned 39 and I think I should have already figured all of this out. And I was like, that's exactly how I felt when I was that age. And 14 years from now, you'll just smile at this memory. So
that's very true.
Yeah.
True.
I know we're, as far as how long we want these podcasts to be and stuff like that, you and I have talked a little bit about it, about, finding our groove and the vibe of the thing. But just for the sake of time, I thought I would mention that, one of the things that we're doing with this is having it be kind of a companion to who we meet in real life. And that one of our mechanisms for that is we're going to be involved in bringing Triangle Business Breakfast back to the Triangle area. And many of you who are listening to this or watching this may have attended Triangle Business Breakfast before. We ran it for about 7 years. And we just kind of brought it to a pause about 2 to 2.5 years ago. We had gone online only, of course, during COVID. And I think a lot of us were getting a little bit, burned out and the online only format of it. Lots of us were in lots of Zoom meetings at that time and online meetings. So it just felt like a good time to give it a pause and let us refresh. But surprise, we're coming back. We'll be giving some more details very soon about when and where that will be. But I just wanted to mention, because I will say that in-person networking has been an absolutely key component to me growing my business. And although I get the chance to work with people all over the US, most of them are people that I have met in person at some point. So
absolutely. And, we are both people who are involved in very amazing communities. And so some of you who may be listening or watching think to yourself, well, shucks, I wish I could join that. You can. And also thinking about your communities of people you're in. We've had clients all over the country and the world. And that happens sometimes by meeting local people as well. So you may hear on a lot of businesses are like, well, it's maybe not scalable to do it in person. We would challenge that in a lot of ways. Although there's a both and here, neither one's right or wrong, and we're not going to hate on other ways business and how they do things because that works for them. We just tend to more enjoy in person hanging out with people, and that's just kind of one of the things that we like to promote in a lot of ways. That's why we want to mention that. So we'll wrap up this first episode and leaving parting thoughts. If you were to share a bit of wisdom for someone who's having those feelings like they want something more. And maybe they're in a job, maybe they're not. Maybe they're given that feelings, those thoughts, and they're not really sure what to do with them. What would you tell them?
Well, these are both going to be super broad things, but
I love it.
But I think part of what makes them broad is they basically work almost every time.
Okay.
So the two things, number one is just get started.
Yes.
Like just do something.
Yes.
Because if you try something and you don't like it, that's data.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, look, I just discovered, don't really like this.
Yeah.
If you try something and you do like it, then that's also data. Like do it more, try it in different ways, try it with different types of people, try all that. So that's one thing. The other thing, and I talk about this every single time I present to a group of people. Mm-hmm. I always do this thing at the very beginning. I say, this has nothing to do with what I'm here to talk to you about today, but it might be the most important thing I say. Oh. But I just ask the room, I say, raise your hand if you enjoy helping people. And usually 90% plus of everybody raises their hand. And then I'm like, okay, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Yeah. Now, I want you to keep your hand in the air if you enjoy asking for help. And whoosh. Like I usually catch a light breeze off of everybody lowering their hand at the same time. And there'll be 2 or 3 or 4 people who do have their hands up and maybe they're trying to look good or maybe that is real for them. I don't know. Like that'd be cool if it was real for them. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, in addition to try something, just get out there and do it, fall on your face or succeed, whatever. Mm-hmm. But ask for help. Like almost everybody, based on my real informal poll results, but I've never seen a room where 90% of people didn't raise their hands when I asked if they like helping people. Everybody wants to be able to help, and they don't know what you need because you aren't asking for it, because you have some weird thing about I shouldn't have to ask, or I don't want to put them out or whatever. I mean, I think I met you because a mutual friend of ours was like, I know this guy, he's kind of getting started with coaching and he'd like to talk to somebody who's been doing this for a while. And I thought about you, Scott, and she put us in touch. And, I thoroughly enjoyed everything about getting to know you, everything about, and, it was like, even when we ran out of time, our first time talking, it was like, when can we schedule more time? I'd love to do anything else I can do to help you get rolling. And also I've learned a tremendous amount from you. We wouldn't be sitting here having this podcast if it wasn't for all the stuff that I've learned how to do from you. So,
Absolutely.
So ask for help. Get started, ask for help. That's how I'd boil it down.
Absolutely. And I'll share my thoughts on that. So, I love, somebody smart once said is, well, what if I don't like it? Well, if you do it, you'll find out quick enough if you don't. By, trying it. And the thoughts that come to mind for me, if posing the same questions, what advice or words of wisdom would I share with them? Somebody else smart said this. I can't remember who it was, but you hear a lot about it, like follow your passion, find your passion, all that stuff. And this particular author was just like, I hate that. I hate that so much. And they said, because some people don't have passions. Some people have more than one passion. Some people have multiple passions. And finding that may not lead you to, in terms of maybe career or something successful or whatever you want to be successful at. Rather than follow your passion, follow your curiosity. What are you interested in? And that might lead you to either a group of people or an activity that you fall in love with. And that could be turned into a passion, because you don't know if you're passionate about it until you try it, like you said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, super interesting. You said, literally last night I was talking to my wife and she was like, we were talking about a problem that she helped me solve earlier this week. The air conditioning in my truck wasn't working very well. She was like, it's super easy to fix this. I've done this. Just go to the auto parts store, get a can of coolant. I'll show you where to attach it. And I'm like, how do you already know this? Yeah. And she's like, I was curious about it one time when my car wasn't working so great on the AC, and she was like, I wonder if I can fix this myself. She was like, all I did was be curious.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes of watching YouTube videos.
Yes.
And bam. So
Very true.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you all for joining us. This is the Triangle Business Podcast, and this is episode 1. Stay tuned. More is to come.